Welcome to the Agility in Real Life podcast, Take 5 in Real Life. Now your hosts, Mike Studeman and Jeff Lee.
Hi, and welcome back to the take5IRL podcast. I'm Jeff Lee, one of the partners at Agility IRL.
And I'm Mike Studeman, one of the other partners at Agility IRL and co-host of today's episode. Jeff, hope you're having a good day.
I'm having a great day, Mike. As you know, we just talked about the proclamation that came from the governor's office of Minnesota declaring today Wolves Back Day. A lot of Timberwolves excitement going on right now in the Twin Cities, which does not often happen. So a little side note to anybody listening. And anyway, who doesn't care about that, that part's over now.
Well, hold on. It can't be over. I mean, people have to understand if they're offended. We haven't been able to talk about this for like 20 years. I think exactly 20 years. So you'll have to indulge us for another 10 seconds or so while we find out what it's like to root for a winning team.
Right. On a Memorial Day weekend, no less. I mean, that just doesn't happen here.
Well, on to less important things, like
Right.
Agile. What's on your mind today, besides Naz Reid, Jeff?
Yeah, so getting a little bit more concrete with our last few episodes, right? We've been talking about business outcomes, understanding how to use stakeholders, getting them involved. And with this business outcome thing and measuring success, we talk about this a lot at the high level, but what does that really mean, Mike? How do you measure success?
Well, first of all, I think ultimately it goes to user or customer satisfaction, right? We can be producing a bunch of output, but if that output either has no impact or negative impact, we're not creating value. Prior to that, though, and maybe I'm setting the bar too low. Feel free to push back. Prior to that, though, the first metric that I want to look at is the team even producing something that's potentially releasable? Because if it's not potentially releasable, we can't even get customer and or user satisfaction because there's nothing for them to buy or use.
Yeah, and when you say potentially releasable, what does that mean?
Yeah, we probably, if we haven't already done so, we probably need a whole episode on that one, right? It's something that a product owner or a product manager could actually release, but doesn't have to if they don't believe that it generates value. So we're not to get too philosophical on this episode, but instead of measuring progress by how many phases we've completed or how many hours we've invested, it's have we produced something that's tangible? Can we touch it, feel it, look at it, play with it if it's in terms of hardware to be able to put that at a minimum, put that in front of users and customers and say, are we on the right track here?
Yeah,
So
and
customer satisfaction is my big one, but I gotta turn the tables on you, Jeff. What's your favorite metric to measure whether a team's on the right track?
Yeah, before I go there, I do want to just touch on the two things you just mentioned, right? So
Yeah.
customer satisfaction, very much a business outcome, right? Getting things potentially releasable, how often we do that, how many things, that's on the output side, right? It doesn't tell us if we're doing anything useful. And so I just want to call that out because sometimes the output gets a bad name, and it can if that's the only thing we're measuring. But there is value in measuring the output side as well. Are we getting things done? Are we resolving bugs that come in? We just don't want to confuse that with business success because those are not the same thing.
No, it's a really I think it's a really important point, and you and I have both seen clients that have either focused on one at the expense of the other, or not even gotten to something that's potentially releasable, and then wonder why they're not showing any value. So a very good call out. So let me pass the ball to you in keeping with the Timberwolves theme here. What's your favorite metric to measure value or to measure a business outcome?
Yeah, so I'm going to start a little bit broader and say the evidence-based management guide that's available on scrum.org has a great library of metrics to pull from, some of which are measuring business value and some of which are measuring, what is the team getting done and how quickly are they getting things done. So I think I might take the approach that you took as far as what are we, what's an output related thing. And that's to me, cycle time, right? It doesn't necessarily mean we're
Absolutely.
doing good things, but how quickly are we getting through things? What is our market responsiveness like? How quickly can we get from something that comes in our queue until we can get it out the door. So that's, primary one there. As far as on the business outcomes side, profitability, revenue, all those things are really important. They're really hard to measure, and it's hard to tie back to an individual item. So I tend to look at things like, are we getting customer support calls, or are we not? Right? Are the things that we're putting out getting used, or are they not? Those are some
Yeah.
easier things to measure. Again, it's not really showing the ultimate indication of business success, but it's a pretty quick and easy way to put, some sort of measurement in that's really getting more of that user experience.
Yeah, I think as we're looking at our time box coming up here, we don't want to have to beat the buzzer, so to speak. I would say to our listeners, look at some output-based metrics if you don't have them. I think cycle time's a really good one to track, fairly easy in most tools to figure out when requests are coming in and when they're actually getting to something that's potentially releasable. Then start looking at those business outcome metrics. Regardless of the metrics that you use, I would emphasize, don't try to track too many things at once. The example that I always use is the modern automobile tracks thousands upon thousands of metrics. We pay attention to like 2 or 3 of them, direction, speed, and whether our gas tank's going to be empty or not. So be an advocate for simplicity there. And then, once you have some metrics in place that show that you're regularly delivering, then you can go and explore maybe some of those more in-depth measures.
Yeah, good summary and a good way to wrap up the conversation on that. So thanks everyone for joining us again.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Take 5 IRL podcast. If you like it, please go ahead and share it with someone, as well as like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Also, leave us a comment or a suggestion for a future episode. Again, thanks for listening, and we look forward to you joining us next time on the Take 5 IRL podcast.